Hi everyone, today I am doing another rewatch of Twin Peaks and I'm on to season 2 episode 13, which is called Demons, and it was that's the chair, by the way. It was directed by Leslie Linka Glatter and written by Harley Payton and Robert Engels. Okay, so I think in this scene with Harold at the beginning we get to see a little bit more of his instability. I don't believe all he says about how he thought Donna would make him return to the world again. I think that he's probably just reacting to the grief that he feels. I think a recovery from an illness such as agoraphobia like that would take more than just a friendship with a young girl that you just met. So yeah, I think he's just emotionally reacting to the betrayal by Donna. I think he probably feels really stupid, as if he's being set up, used. Yeah, I do feel really sorry for him actually, because I think that he seems like a nice guy. Seems like a guy who has just had a lot of problems in life, and I can understand why he would feel so betrayed and hurt and how he would react like this, because his emotional state is already probably very tender and sensitive with the kind of lifestyle that he lives, being, you know, not being very exposed to many other things. He probably is a very sensitive guy. We hear him say, "You are unclean, you have contaminated me," and I think that seeing that from his perspective, it's sort of he views himself as a very kind of morally pure person, someone who lives in a bubble that of his own creation, where he can control how other people's behaviours affect him, or so he thought. I don't think when he says unclean that it's necessarily anything to do with religion, even though that's the first kind of connotation that springs to mind. I think he thinks of himself basically as a good person, as one of the few good people in the world, and probably his quest to find friends and find people who are decent is the one thing he wants in life, to be able to trust people. I don't know if this is the first time it's used, but the music in this episode seems slightly different. It's noticeable from season 1. There are different themes. I think, especially when this music that's played when James and Donna have a moment is a very nice piece. If you're interested in the music, by the way, you can get the music from the season 1 and season 2 on different soundtracks. I think that some of the music from season 2 was omitted for some reason, but I think there's also places online where you can get it. So I think in this moment when James and Donna and Madeline exit Harold's house, we see that from Madeline's reaction that she realises that James and Donna have something far more than she'll ever have with James. I do feel so bad for Harold in that scene where he's screaming and trying to mist his orchids at the same time. It's like he's trying to focus on maintaining this paean of beauty, purity and innocence, and it's almost a desperation to hold on to that while he is feeling so corrupted inside. So Audrey's been rescued from One-Eye Jack's, and in the scene where they are trying to see if she's okay, she deliriously talks about her father. I think that tells you a lot about her inner mind and the kind of hopes and dreams that she has. She's still in her heart a child, and the relationship that she wants with her father is something that's constantly motivating her existence. And I like the way she touches Cooper's hand in this scene. because there's something very mature about it that before, when we saw Audrey interact with Cooper, it was sort of like a child who had a crush, and it seemed less likely that there would ever be anything between them. But in this scene where she has his hand, she's pressing it to her face and caressing it, there is something very adult about the way she's doing that. It feels very sensual and very real. Almost like she's taken a step closer to what it means to love a man, what it means to connect with Cooper. The James and Donna moment again, after they send Madeline on her way. Donna expresses concern about Madeline, which is a little bit of a turn up for the books, considering that she was quite a bitch in previous episodes when she thought Madeline was going after James. And then, you know, James is so protective over Donna and expresses his love towards her. One thing I have noticed when I'm rewatching these episodes is that I think James is one, and this might be controversial, but I do think James is one of the nicest characters in Twin Peaks, and for that reason I have to, you know, I feel like I'm really behind him. I feel like I really am invested in his story, and I really do feel like he's one of the top characters of the show. Perhaps not later on after the Evelyn stuff, for those who have watched this series already. For right now, with Donna and the Madeline stuff and the way he's reacted to Laura's death, I think he is a very interesting and lovable character. So Harry and Cooper are talking, and I'm just nodding at that bit where Harry says, Cooper, sometimes you think too much. That could never be a truer statement, I think. Cooper, oops, sorry. Cooper is beginning to, we have the beginning of some hints about Cooper's past. You know, him saying, this isn't the first time that my actions have put someone I cared about in danger. So you get the sense that that's going to be expanded on at some point. He also expresses regret that he has violated his professional code, which is obviously something that's very important to him, has been from the beginning of the series. The fact that he's done it more than once now, by his own admission, it forces you to think about Cooper's character traits. If you're going to align his values, does this mean that he values love more than he values his job? Perhaps tells you that Cooper is an impulsive man, driven by his own innocence, his own goodness. The scene with Cooper and Ben is hard to watch because Ben is he's soulless. He's like, he doesn't even think about Audrey until Cooper mentions her. He's interested in the money, he's interested in the machinations of the affairs, he's, you know, what has gone on. He doesn't care about Blackie, about Jean Renault, what has gone down there. He doesn't care if they're dead, alive. He just wants him, you know, he wants to come out of it well, basically. He does come across as one of the coldest characters on this show, and for new viewers, Ben Horne is clearly got to be a prime suspect for the Laura Palmer murder. I like how in this scene with Leo getting appraised, that Bobby's just smoking away. You know, times have changed, times have certainly changed. You wouldn't see a high school teenager you know, smoking in many TV shows nowadays. I don't think that would be a common sight. Okay, so Bobby and Shelley have screwed themselves, basically, trying to make money off of Leo. They do come across as pretty low class, I have to be honest, especially Shelley. They seem to have got themselves in a situation that is impossible to get out of ever. It's okay, so Sheriff Truman doesn't want to take Donna's information about Harold very seriously because of her past involvement with the Dr. Jacoby situation and the fact that she really did a lot of things wrong in that. However, this is quite a relevant story that Donna's telling about Laura's secret diary, and I don't see any reason why Sheriff Truman wouldn't immediately follow this up. He seems quite blasé about the whole thing, like, my hands are full, he says at one point, even though something like this could really advance the investigation. Okay. David Lynch as Gordon Cole, and he is a very funny character. Okay, so Gordon Cole says that when an agent goes into the field, he comes down to have a look, supervise them. That's something that when I recap the movie, and after the next episode I'm going to be doing the movie, I'm going to be doing a recap of Fire Walk With Me, and I'm going to talk a bit about Cole and his relationship with the other agents in the field, because I think he can deduct certain things about the setup at the FBI from what he says and from what we see in these episodes and as well as in the movie. But Gordon Cole seems to be very much in charge.
Sounds real good, Sheriff, but I already ate.
Incredibly awkward scene when Ben is reunited with his daughter, because you get the sense that Audrey has changed. She's a different person now. She's seen a part of the world that has eaten away at her innocence. She's been shown a part of mankind, part of humanity that perhaps she wasn't aware of before, and of course she knows her father now better than she ever did, and she knows that he's a liar. She knows that perhaps she doesn't come first in his list of priorities in life, and we see this from the expression on her face, the way she looks at Agent Cooper when her father is talking to him. You know, she's just like, is this bullshit for real? So when Ben says we'll sort it out together to Audrey, in that moment is he realizing that, you know, Audrey knows exactly who he is and everything that he's done? And is this his way of saying, we're still family, we still have to work this out, keep it between us? That's, you know, the most important thing, to protect our family. And from Audrey's reaction, saying yes, we'll work it out together, you'd think that she has this kind of Horne family loyalty. When she says she wants Agent Cooper to take her home, there's the question of whether she wants to tell Agent Cooper what's gone on, whether she wants to talk about what her father's done, or whether it's a thing about, I want to assert my independence and show that I can now have relationships outside of the one with my father. By Ben saying, let's all go home together, he's trying to maintain control of his daughter. Okay, so Josie, I don't know, I think Josie becomes more of an unlikable character as the series goes on because of the decisions she makes. I don't necessarily think it's a fault of her character. In her character, I should say. I think she just seems to make decision after decision that's the wrong thing to do. And I think this comes from a place of deep insecurity, and rather than, you know, like Ben, he wants to be in a position of power. I think for Josie, she just wants to be free. She wants to be safe and free. This is a really beautiful scene with James and Madeline. The music, of course, the romantic music is totally ramped up in this scene. And the sense that, you know, everything's come to a head between them. They've reached the moment where, they've gone past the moment, I should say, where there is anything between them romantically. And I think that they can talk honestly and openly about what happened and why they might have felt how they did. And of course this is Madeline's goodbye, and a great way to showcase her and to explain why she has been an important part of the storyline. She says that she has basically been playing a part of being Laura for a little while since she came to town, and that she sort of enjoyed that, being a different person, because perhaps her own life didn't seem as exciting, and the connection she had with James was also a motivator to her. I like the fact that, you know, James and Madeline talk so honestly about their feelings about love. And James, you know, I feel this is a worrying thing that James says when he says that he is concerned about the sustainability of being able to feel this true, intense love all of the time. He says it's like a light shining on him, and he doesn't think that he can always be under that spotlight. And maybe for James in this scene there's a little bit of a relief, because it's almost like he's got to say goodbye to Laura as well as Madeline. Maybe that's quite fulfilling, to be able to have the moment where he can say to Madeline goodbye, because he never got to say that to Laura. She just disappeared. So in this scene with Josie and Ben, I think you can tell that Josie, as she plays the game as well as Ben, but she looks frightened when she turns away from Ben. She looks like she's been putting on a front, acting her way to confidence. You can't help but, again, sense that she's a person who has come to this situation because of some very bad choices in life and some very bad situations she's got herself into, and that she's doing what she feels she has to do in order to achieve happiness and security. This is a completely messed up scene with Bobby, Shelley and Leo. Dear. And Shelley just is completely, I think she's letting loose because what else is there to do when you've been landed in this situation? Oh dear. So I think Bobby's saying these things to Leo about, you know, sorry for exploiting you and etc. because he feels bad for Shelley. I like the fact that they can have a laugh about it. It does kind of, the last moments of that scene with Bobby and Shelley, you see that they are really aligned to think and to feel the same way, and that they are probably a good match-up in terms of a romantic couple, you know. So when Gordon and Cooper are talking, supposedly in secret, but because Gordon is shouting so loudly everybody can hear them, there is a point made from Gordon and from Cooper to Gordon that things like dreams and the mind, body and soul are important factors in the kind of work they are doing. Like I was saying earlier, I do think that this kind of FBI unit that Gordon Cole seems to be managing is a special unit of agents that are like either gifted in kind of psychic powers sort of thing, or they are trained in it, and the training thing I think we see in Fire Walk With Me a little bit more. There seems to be a nice camaraderie between Gordon Cole and his agents, and he seems genuinely fond of Agent Cooper, which is nice. I think a lot of what is said just seems to be nonsense, such as the Mexican Chihuahua line, but from what we see later on, again referring to the movie, you have to wonder whether the things that they say, such as you remind me of a Chihuahua, whether that's actual code for something. And that's something that Cooper will understand in some way. So Leland does this strange thing when he's talking to Ben. He looks at this, I don't even know what that creature is that he looks at, but it's a stuffed animal, some kind of snow creature, and he takes the fur, a little bit of the fur from the taxidermy model, and stuffs it into his shirt pocket for some reason. It is a strange action at this stage, and it seems like a strange impulse of the senses almost. And there's something very creepy about Leland's propensity to burst into song all the time, and this particular scene feels very Blue Velvetish, in the sense that he is inappropriately indulging in the emotions of this song. So they finally found the one-armed man, and they found that the drug that he has been using is treated for things like schizophrenia and multiple personality disorder, perhaps. That's what they imply anyway. So Gordon says an interesting thing about if you give him the drug, you'll never see the other side, which kind of implies that, there's another side to the man, but there's also another side to reality. It's kind of like sort of like Exorcist, like when he's reacting to coming off the effects of the drug. This spirit called Mike is revealed through the one-armed man, and he says that he knew Bob, and he says that Philip Gerard is his host. So Mike says something interesting, that Bob requires a human host, which implies that some of the spirits, if they're, some of this group of spirits, doesn't have to have a human host. They can have animal hosts, they can have maybe inanimate hosts, who knows. But he makes a point of saying that Bob in particular needs to have this human host. This is a strange moment when Cooper recites the poem with Mike, because it's almost like Cooper is being pulled into that kind of union with Mike, a strange kind of sick, scary union where you think, what the hell is going to happen to Cooper if he goes down this line? For a long time I thought that poem, the line in the poem where it says one chance, I thought it was one chance as in one sings, or shouts out. But apparently, according to the subtitles, it says one chance as in luck, chance, which is less comprehensible to me. That line, if that's the true wording of it, I'm not quite sure, what that phraseology means, unless it refers to the kind of chance at freedom or chance of a life that these spirits have when they try and inhabit people from this other world, that not their world. So Mike implies that Cooper is gifted, and that anybody who is able to see Bob is either gifted or damned. In that last scene, he implies that Bob is nearby and that the Great Northern is his abode, and obviously this implies that Ben might be the host of Bob. and we end with a shot of the Great Northern Hotel, and it's very ominous and eerie and quite exciting way to leave the episode. I really enjoyed that episode. It was very dramatic, mostly dark episode again. Even the parts that were quite funny with Leo and Shelley and Bobby. There is an obvious darkness to those scenes because of the way Leo is. I like that they finally found the one-armed man, and that instead of letting him go, or that not, you know, instead of dragging it out, we got quite a lot of useful and insightful information about Mike and his relationship with Bob. You know, I think Mike seems to have implied that the other spirits and himself have, you know, a need to stop Bob. I think Bob at this point does seem like a terrifying aspect. If Bob can't even be controlled or stopped by his own kind, by the spirits, by the, you know, inhabiting spirits, then how can he be stopped? It does feel like we are on the verge of a big reveal, and I feel like I'm only just getting into season 2, and the fact that you feel this big reveal coming is kind of strange because it seems so quick, seems so sudden. I just think that is so different to how TV is done nowadays. You kind of have TV shows now that hold on to their mystery for so much longer, and I'm still amazed now with these rewatches. I'm just amazed that, you know, the resolution had to come about so quickly to the Laura Palmer mystery. An enjoyable episode, and next time I'm going to be watching episode 14, which is a very well known episode, lots of people's favourites. I think it's probably the highest rated episode amongst fan rated episodes, the next episode I'll be watching. So if you want to join me for the rewatch of that, you're welcome to do so. And if you'd like to leave a comment to tell me what you thought about this episode in particular, please do so below. And if anything I've said, you know, I would like, if you want to give me some feedback on anything that I've said. I'm kind of just feeling my way around these rewatches, thinking more about what certain things mean, or what they could mean, exploring theories, if you like. So if you have any theories or thoughts about anything that went on in this episode, please let me know below. And you can also subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date with the rewatches that I'm doing. And I also post news videos from time to time if there's anything going on about the new series. And I think that's it. Hopefully I will see you next time. Goodbye.